Hi everyone, it's Ryann Lavinia back with the FIBBcast, and we are on location at the Waldorf Astoria in Orlando for our Skinceo Boosted 2025. Yep. Amazing. And so I'm here with special guests, so Robbie, Brindley, and Shawn Chawla. So I'll let you guys kind of give an introduction. And I love these guys, their family, and my Sciton family cannot express enough gratitude to them in helping us grow our business. So let's get started.
It's super cool to be here, and congratulations to you and the entire FIBB family on your success. It's just fun to see you guys grow and kind of take flight. And man, what an operation. This is a legit podcast, so I'm excited to be a part of it today.
Yes. And
yeah, I mean, just from 6 years ago to today, it's just been amazing to see you grow.
I know, we were giggling about my first introduction to Shawn, and I looked at
Robbie too?
Yes, tell him.
I might get fired after this. But it's all right. So I had just started, and I go in. She was in a beauty salon, our suite, and her mom was the front desk. So I go in, and Brett and Corey had already done the hard work. And she goes, "Do you think I'm going to be successful with this?" Again, I'm brand new. And I go, "I don't know."
Switching from the anesthesia room, it was like, yes. And here we are.
Here we are 6 years later.
Yeah. So we're excited to be here. And Rob, of course, been on tour with you, over the years and speaking events, but it's been awesome, being a part of the family and just,
we appreciate you big time.
Yeah. So I really want to talk about the history with you and helping Sciton grow and the marketing aspect, because you're brilliant with that. And as, we are growing our practice, we count on Sciton a lot for the branding and all that. So.
Oh, you know what? My story at Sciton is really, I think, Sciton's story. And the first thing I like to preface is, at Sciton, we're not big on titles. So my title is Sciton Leader. That's literally my title. And over my coming on 23 years at Sciton, I've had the opportunity to work in a dedicated format at this company, which I love, for 23 years of my life, and it's been quite a journey. One of the things I love the most about it is over that 23 years, I have become a historian of this industry, and I've seen all of the big companies rise and fall. I've seen the technologies that come in like a hurricane that disappear. There's been so much change, and it's been really special to be a part of Sciton, as we've had the opportunity to introduce some very disruptive technologies over the course of the journey. But what's neat right now is we just had our 28th birthday.
Yes, April 1st.
Just this week, yes. April 1st, 28 years. And the story of that journey is simple. Slow and steady wins the race. It has been all about how we can take care of our people, hire great like-minded people. Our foundation is our people and our products. And while innovating and releasing new technologies that last, that are tried and true and proven, coupled with the fact that in this particular window, I've seen our company evolve from making the best laser in the world to not just that, but having the best consumer-facing brands in the industry, from Moxie to BBL, now Heroic, to Halo. Very, very, very special brand entries that have resonated with consumers over time. But a little bit about my journey, really simple. Right out of college, I started working with my father. My father, rest in peace, my dad, Robert J. Brindley, everybody knew him as Bob or Pops. I'll pull it together here. Yeah. But I had an opportunity to work with Dad right out of college. And my father had a distributorship in the Minneapolis market where he sold equipment to physicians. And over time, when the first lasers came into existence. So we're talking in the late 90s. Botox got its cosmetic indication in like 1998. Yeah. And that was the beginning of non-invasive or minimally invasive aesthetics. So back in the late 90s, you had just a few lasers being offered by dermatologists and occasional plastic surgeon. Well, as we got into the beginning of the 2000s, lasers really started to come onto the scene. And at that point, there wasn't even a med spa yet. The first med spas started to pop up, I can think in terms of like 2003, 2004, the first med spas in the world. But part of this journey, Dad asked if I wanted to have a chance to work with him. And, the sky was the limit. That was about 2001. In 2002, we met Sciton. And Sciton, I'll never forget the moment. We were sitting in our office. We had a shared office. And Dad got a call. And I hear him saying, hey, talking about this new product opportunity. He leans over. He says, hey, Robbie, do you think we should look at this product line? It was founded by Jim Hobart and Dan Negus, and Jim founded Coherent. And then we were off to the races. My dad interviewed for the position. At the time I was a kid, I was 20, my early 20s, 23 years old. I would have never gotten the position, but my dad interviewed for the position, got the job, and then I had a chance to work with him for 17 years prior to his retirement. And I've had a chance to be at this company for 23 years, which is super, super, super just special.
Yeah, pioneers really in this industry, and just the growth and, the development of Sciton with, it's just crazy because we have completely changed the whole industry and the way it's growing with innovation.
Yes.
And I'll just tell a story. Coming from anesthesia, I was seeing these lasers being used. We have to special precautions in the OR and CO2 and, and when I got into it, 2015, a good friend of mine who I met at Dr. Arthur Swift, Dana Zeitler.
Sure.
So she had worked for a plastic surgeon in Naples, and we were talking laser. I just started, opened Salon Suite, and every single laser company was knocking on my door. And I called her and I said, how do you know which laser to buy? And she said, do not buy anything else than Sciton. I've used everything, results driven, and I thank her every day because I took the leap of faith. Bought my first jewel, our second house I talk about. Because, let's talk about that. It is expensive equipment, but it's worth it. It's made in the USA as well.
Yes. Oh, yes.
And just completely different, and that was a game changer. And our, business escalated. I was treating everybody, talking about it because patients were being treated and results, and they were coming back for more. So I think it's amazing.
I think two things. One, shout out to Dana Zeitler. I love you. She's incredible. Second, I just thought of this and find it very interesting. Talk about from even when you started with the BBL Halo to today, you're getting phone calls, people requesting these things.
Yes.
Do you see that a lot?
Yeah, and the branding back then, right? As it has grown, the industry in the past 6 years, but you guys had branding, but it wasn't, like it is now. And and that becomes,
Part of that evolution is, when I started at Sciton, and we just had great equipment, and we were the best kept secret in aesthetic medicine, which is not a good thing to be the best kept secret.
Yes.
Right. But over time, I remember being at the trade show where Thermage was launched. I remember being at the trade show where Fraxel, the original Fraxel, was launched, and the Fraxel CO2. I've been a part of these movements, and back then as a rep, it was always challenging competing with new product entries that had very strong consumer-facing branding. Because the reality is the ability for you to pull in patients based on brand awareness, especially today in the dawn of social media, it's next level.
Yes.
It's super important. And in a world of commoditization, like right now, everything's a CO2 fractional. That is not a brand, that's a commodity. In a world of commoditization, it's important that you have a strong consumer-facing brand that resonates with people on a global level. So I always saw that. I always saw these opportunities, these competitors, and we would have a lot of activity, head-to-head activity, but I always thought, I wish we had that advantage. And over time, we established that advantage. BBL was always a strong brand, but something really special happened with Halo, okay? Halo was, I would say, our first super powerful entry in terms of establishing a power brand in the market. And part of it, I'll be candid, was a little accidental. When we launched Halo, we already had ablative fractional resurfacing. That's been around forever, older technology. But we wanted to introduce a a treatment option with less downtime, right? Less recovery, gentler on the patient. And that was the vision with Halo, combining two wavelengths, the 1470 nanometer non-ablative with our 2940 ablative wavelength at sparing levels. That was the goal. But when we launched Halo, little did we know that the synergy of these two wavelengths working together concomitantly would produce corrective results without the downtime. And that turned the world, the industry on its head, coupled with the fact that Fraxel at that exact same moment, and this was a gift from above, Fraxel was acquired by a billion-dollar pharmaceutical company that candidly destroyed the company. They got rid of the R&D, they shelved the marketing team, they completely gutted that group. So what happened was, it created just a beautiful window for Halo to come in on the commitment of great outcomes with a company dedicated to servicing and supporting the device versus a company where it was kind of like it was an afterthought. But that was the beginning of our brand journey. And then really BBL started to really take flight. And now BBL's become kind of just ubiquitous nomenclature. We have all the trademarks on it. Wink, wink.
Yeah.
But people refer to their IPLs as BBL, and there's not that. Which then brought us into Moxie, and Moxie right now is something that that wavelength for skin polishing is exceptional. But the beautiful thing with Moxie is we were the third entry. You already had a very firm category established with Clear and Brilliant. You had a very generic named Ultra, and then Moxie was the third that came in. And at that point, we took market share. And why we took market share is the device, and why it's one of our top selling products to this day. Is the device is super easy to use. The patient experience is best in class. People love the results. The skin polishing glow up with Moxie is amazing.
I do 3 a year, plus 2 Halos.
I'm gonna get one tomorrow.
Do them together.
But you can see I get off on a spin when I start talking about our devices. But Moxie's just been really, really special for us, and
well, you can see your passion.
We're not stopping there.
Yeah. Well,
Beyonce also helped with the Halo song, so that was good.
Yeah, and I remember back. So I got it in 2019, and then of course COVID. And I remember being on a webinar call, and Dr. Nassif, we were on a call with him from Sciton, and he had just purchased a Halo. And he said he had done 5 in like the last 4 months, and his skin looked incredible. That Halo glow, something we talk about. So it was just that household name.
Yep.
And talking about med spas, little old me, it helped grow my business because people were starting to recognize it, and you couldn't even compare it to any other results of any other treatment.
You really still can. It's the corrective capability of Halo with the patient experience and limited downtime is really special.
Yeah, for sure. And so let's get into the Stax treatments, because now that we have all these modalities and different wavelengths, we're reaching the superficial skin, deeper skin. Yeah. We just added Contour TRL, which we'll get into, but we just did we do monthly trainings with our providers, and they're doing way more aggressive halos, and which is awesome. But we also just did a Stax treatment, BBL, Halo Moxie.
You got all
and it's amazing.
You got all the tools. I love it.
Clear V, Diva, we have everything.
And that is a fundamental, I think it's a fundamental, it's a foundation to the success of an aesthetic practitioner in an aesthetic business, is having all the tools on the tool belt. Yes. I talk about this all the time. It's really simple. If all you have is a hammer, the entire world's a nail. And I've lived through this in my career, where you'll see devices that they get on trend, they start to become a fad, if you will, single application devices that are overhyped, oversold, that over time people realize that it's not providing a comprehensive clinical outcome that today's patient really wants, needs, and deserves. And the clinics that have the tools on the tool belt, we know different lasers do different things. You have the ability to do really nice stuff like treat irregular pigmentation, browns, vasculature, reds, wrinkles, polishing the skin. There's all these different categories, and that's really what Stax is about. Sciton Stax is our proprietary trademark, our brand for combination procedures. And the whole advent of Stax is really simple. You see it all the time. You could take a device, typically an RF radio frequency type device, where the results can be schmedium.
Yeah.
And what's the best way to hype that thing up? Stack it with a Moxie. Add a Contour TRL, add resurfacing to it. And then all of a sudden you're like, well, where are the results from? So Stax emerged because Stax is for Sciton treatments only. Anybody can stack treatments, but if you have Sciton Stax, you know as a patient or a consumer, a customer, that you're going to a clinic that is invested in the best devices money can buy, and the entire approach, the recipe that they're providing for your skin to meet your goals and to satisfy your vision within your budgetary window, you know that you're getting the best of the best. You're not getting anything included in there that's lackluster.
And to speak on that, we have patients, when I'm training and, these providers are like, everybody's been with you for, 7 years. And I'm like, yes. And let's go look at the reveal. So we do the reveal imaging, and these patients are not aging. And I just had a patient yesterday. I was doing a BBL on her, and she's been coming for 6 years. And I said, you have got to get so many compliments, because she's got rosacea, speaking on the reds, terrible. And her skin looks flawless. Right? And so she comes in every 4 months, has been doing her BBLs and Moxie and, trying to get her to do a halo. But I said, you have to get compliments. She's like, I do. People say how young I look. So that's where that anti-aging comes from. And, we're able to treat rosacea. We have a patient, one of our marketing team, Jen, her good friend, she had rosacea so bad. She had such thick makeup on. And when we took it off one day, I was like, you need a BBL, 2 BBLs, and it's gone. And Dr. Bitter speaks on that as a dermatologist for 40 plus years, that he can cure rosacea with BBL.
It's a game changer.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah, so.
Well, I think and today we're seeing the rise of the informed patient, or the rise of the educated patient, which basically what that means with social media, there's so many avenues for individuals to see, I can do this. I've got friends and family that are doing it, or I know this person that do it, and I can afford it, and I can find the right treatment to meet my individual needs. And with this rise, I love continuing to pour on the educational value, because what I see in the industry a lot is especially with newer entries, fad technologies, these devices get a little bit of buzz, and really what's happening is the way we're approaching the patient is not in a combination format. It's not in an artistic format. It's in a one-size-fits-all format. And, I think a good example right now, speaking of historically, we were chatting about this a minute ago, which is the return of fractional ablative lasers. Folks, fractional ablative lasers, we've got them. I love them.
Yeah.
They're amazing. Profractional is absolutely one of the very best options in this category. The reality is it's not new. Okay, we had the fractional boom, the fractional ablative boom a decade ago, okay? And with that, a gluttony of fractional CO2 devices. So you'll see a ton of commoditized fractional CO2s. So much so that you've got upwards of 15 plus manufacturers and a new manufacturer every day. Well, with that, people are being offered an approach that is nowhere near as comprehensive as if you take a Sciton device, like a fractional ablative profractional, couple that with stack treatments for browns and reds,
And texture.
And skin polishing. Fractional CO2s will never polish the skin like a 1927 nanometer, and that's because of laser physics. There's a direct foundation as to why, not just because I say it, because there's a scientific foundation as to why. But what's happening is then, again, you're seeing a proliferation of patients that are being exposed to a very limited pathway to meet a comprehensive need. And again, I bring it all back to like someone like you, Ryan, in your clinic, who's taken the time to research, taken the time to grow your business, to offer all of the right options so that you can dial in the perfect treatment for the patient that meets their unique needs. Isn't one size fits all, but it meets their unique needs for their skin goals. It meets their unique needs for budgetary window, can meet their unique needs for downtime. Because the reality is we can program any degree of downtime necessary based on the correction.
It's tunable. That's what we love. Yeah.
And that to me is huge. Now, here's the other thing. I'm going to pull the window back on fractional ablative lasers. I don't care which one we're talking about. It could be a fad. It could be old technology like fractional CO2. It could be profractional. When you want to remove heavy rhytids, because when I think resurfacing, I think the benefit of resurfacing to me, if I want a skin polish, I'm going to do a Moxie without the downtime. Okay, all day long. If I want to get my browns and reds, I want to glow up, I'm going to do a heroic, non-invasive BBL heroic, 0 downtime. Okay, if I want to remove vertical lip lines on a patient with smoker's lines that has substantial need, it's not going to happen with fractional ablative resurfacing, no matter what the magical wavelength is, whether old or new and a part of a fad. You need Contour TRL full field resurfacing. And then what you have the ability to do is the best of the best will then lace all these treatments together where they know, how do I get the best result for the patient with as little downtime as possible? And how we do that, a perfect example. Someone comes in, smoker's lines, they've got irregular pigmentation, maybe some broken capillaries. Great way to do that, you BBL the entire face, clean it all up. Maybe you even throw a Moxie on top and you polish it and you get that ultimate glow up. You can take that 1064 Clear V, treat the vessels in the alar crease, remove the facial vessels, but then you take the pattern generator and you proceed to treat from beyond the epidermis into the dermis to remove wrinkles. And fractional CO2 will not do that. It can't do that. If you've got a hole and you've got a fractionated approach, and I'm seeing this not only with fractional CO2, but I'm seeing it with the FAD lasers, how you get at the vertical lip line with the fractional ablative device, pass after pass after pass, you still never get to 100%. And then what happens is the morbidity goes through the roof, so it's not desirable for the patient, and you're still not getting the wrinkle, folks. So to everybody out there that's doing all of these passes with fractional ablative resurfacing around the mouth, there is a better way. Full field 2940 tunable erbium, our Contour TRL, is the tool to remove heavy rhytids.
Yeah, and I think something that is great for Ryan's practices is you nailed it, right? You can customize that treatment. But we even see her, she'll do a BBL, Halo, and now she could also do TRL around the mouth. Yep. But if you have like a leg vein, she has something she could easily just screw on and she's treating that leg vein.
Yeah, so it's easy for providers. We can just...
Well, how about the photos you just shared with me of the arms, the correction on the arms with your BBL Hero? Fantastic.
Yep.
What an outcome. And team, that's no downtime.
Right.
Minimal discomfort.
And yes. I didn't get a chance.
And she just did her legs too, because she's seeing the results. So yeah.
I was going to tell him about the patient. I was there last week, and she had a lady in her room, and she takes another M-Jewel into the room, and they're doing BBL on both arms.
Yeah,
so
we flip her over. We do, we do full body. So, but yeah, we're excited. We just have added Contour TRL. It's kind of one of those things. Everybody's like, "Can you put me to sleep because you're, a CRNA?" And I'm like, "Well, no," but we have had just, I say patient, I could, but we have Pronox too. But, patients drive what we bring in, and our, depending on which location, our patient population is a little older. So we wanted something more aggressive. So we brought in Contour TRL. We were so excited. I'm doing Dr. Posner's preceptorship.
Oh, I love it.
And we do, we're going to be able to do those Stax treatments, which that's part of our philosophy at FIBB, our FIBB signature services.
Totally.
And to speak a little bit out in the training as well. So Sciton, full love, gratitude as always, but the training that you guys offer. So when I first bought my Jewel platform, 2 weeks later, I'm at Bitter's Master Course, thanks to you guys.
Love it.
I did John Hoopman's laser physics course in Miami. 3 weeks later, I dove all in. You guys know I'm very into, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it. And just learning everything I could to, make those outcomes that much better. And so we're so excited, to be able to do that. But Sciton's training is amazing.
Oh my God. Well, you're making us blush here.
We can treat that.
we approach things differently than the rest of the space and differently than our competitors within the space. And Skin CEO Boosted this weekend is a direct testimonial to that. Here we are at the Waldorf. We're going to have 400 Sciton owners, guests that are going to be here. And the program is roughly 2 days of educational content that is designed to be a foundation for people to become a skin CEO. And what's a CEO? You're the best. If you're a CEO of something, you're the best at it. But this is just the beginning. This is like you mentioned. Now we're offering boosted boot camps where any particular facet of our technology or treatment repertoire or wavelength or treatment focus, you can then have an intensive course. So as you mentioned, Jason Posner here in Florida has a tremendous resurfacing course that he teaches, is a globally renowned world-class plastic surgeon who does a ton of this. We do the same thing with Jay Burns. Both of them are here this weekend.
Yes.
Jay Burns in Dallas, an absolute legend of laser, also offers this course. We have Tony Campo coming in from Spain to do a vascular boot camp, and Diane Quibell is going to be offering a BBL heroic boot camp. Patrick Bitter's boot camps. I mean, all of them. Can't forget Sharif Ibrahim, world-class dermatologist. But the whole point is, to the world that's watching this is Ryann and FIBB have taken the time to not only invest in the best gear, but to invest in themselves. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of people miss the boat there where they expect 100%. That you get this device and just let's go. No, it's about not only having the right gear, but becoming an artist through discipline and investing in your education and the education of your people. But thank you for queuing that up.
Yeah, and absolutely.
Shout out to our nursing team, because when you do, we've got amazing clinical nurses, and when you invest in a Sciton, your steps out of the gate are brilliant, thanks to our team of nurses worldwide that they're really the foundation. They work so hard, and they're such great human beings, and they are the first touch that our customers have outside of just the sales experience on their journey to become artists with skin. Yeah,
and just to kind of point out too, one of the things I like to pretend is that I know a lot of stuff. I don't. So what happens right after we install the laser and everything's ready to roll, a lot of people like to ask me questions about how to treat specific patients. I cannot answer that. So once they do their clinical training, our clinical team actually supports you throughout that. So even if you have a certain patient that's a little tricky, we have somebody right there for you, the whole process.
Yeah, the KOLs and Ariel and I were just talking about this. I mean, I've done some trainings as well. So this partnership with you guys and everybody, I said from the beginning, is so awesome and offering information and sharing. I mean, Dr. Bitter, he's this godfather laser and kind of intimidating when you first get into it, but he's so nice and wants to help. And, I'm at the point where I feel like I'm, pretty knowledgeable, and I'm willing to share that. And so I've gone in and, the builder success points and train people, and they're like, wow, I was only using one filter, or, they hadn't attended a site. And it's just giving back and helping people, because we want everybody to know how awesome, you know, the devices are, and everybody have great outcomes. So the Society of Education is just incredible.
Yeah, education and you know, and truly all boats rise on a high tide.
Yes, I love that expression.
It's community versus competition at Sciton.
Yes.
It really is. And I think Skin CO Boosted epitomizes that. You know, you'll have a lot of folks that are networking, sharing their pearls, not only from a clinical approach, but from a business approach.
Right.
From a marketing standpoint. And it's just, I cannot express how proud I am of FIBB and you guys and the leadership role that you've taken within, not only within your local community and the greater Florida community, but within this aesthetic industry as a whole. It's good things happen to good people.
That's right. Yes, and we can chat on that a little bit with the hurricane. Sciton was there for us. So when we had gotten hit with Ian 2023, you guys 2022. Yeah, our whole community was devastated, and you guys were there, you know, knocking on our door. What can we do to help? We'll share some pictures in my speech later, but you guys had delivered, brought all these products or brought all these supplies, and that was amazing. So
it's the least we could do. The photos of Shawn, your vehicle,
I know,
filled with Costco essentials and goodies for the relief was really special.
And
yeah.
It was a simple, and this is just how Sciton and its people are, right? So it was a simple text that was like, hey, if anybody wants to make a donation, and next day I have so much stuff at my front door. And it was just, for me, I was like, wow, this is great.
Yeah, it was overwhelming.
It was very overwhelming.
We had opened up I know, because we were closed, and we'd opened up the business for collecting, and we had, 2 weeks where the whole, 2,500 square feet was just filled with, and you guys were a huge part of that. So
it was great to see it, Mark's running around in his truck and
delivering supplies, and our staff was incredible too with it. So,
we just did something similar with the wildfires in Los Angeles. We reached out to our clinics and helped. You had clinics that, maybe if the clinic was still standing, the primary staff had their houses leveled, burnt down to the ground. And so, I'm really proud to be a part of that. And I think that really gets down to our leadership in major part, our founders, Jim Hobart, Dan Negus, and then Aaron Burton is our CEO. Aaron is, he has a talk that you may have seen at one of our events from time to time called Lead with Love. And, these are just three stellar human beings that it's about how do we give back? Mm-hmm. It's about how do we grow. Sciton is entirely employee owned, and over the course of this journey, we have become the largest privately owned laser manufacturer in the world that is 100% owned by its people. So that's just the beginning, and that ability to care not just for our internal people, but for amazing people like you, great customers. It's just our DNA. It's how do you give back? I think there's a lot of takers in this world, especially in this industry, but how do we give back? And that'll always be the forefront of our DNA.
And that's the Sciton difference. The girls know, do not let any reps in, but we were giggling earlier because Shawn just walks in and, the girls don't stop him because nobody can get back to see me, especially.
Friends and family.
Yeah.
She brings me into treatment. It's great. I'm like, what are we doing?
Yeah. So I know as we open up Punta Gorda, we call Shawn and we're like, can you help us move our device? And so it's just, I can't thank you guys enough. So this has been great, and we'll look forward to doing more with you. And yes, this weekend's going to be awesome. So we are super excited, and like you said,
thanks for having me on. This is so cool, super polished.
Yes,
for the entire world, like if you can see, this is a dialed-in setup. This podcast is legit, so it's a nice little boost to start my Friday here.
We got our secret rep in Gene, our videographer. So thank you, Gene, he drove all the way up here from Fort Myers to do this. So, we're excited. So thank you, guys.
Thank you.
We'll look forward to doing this again sometime soon.
Let's do it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Do you FIBB?
I FIBB.
Do you FIBB?
I FIBB.
You should FIBB too.